Now that you're saying that, I can see Logan with
Yeah.
that thing on his face,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
so pasty and flat. Oh
Yep.
my gosh,
Yep.
that's creepy.
It was so
Oh
creepy.
shit.
And so we, yeah, so that's what, so I think that, although I think that's my only criticism. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is officially December, and we are here. We're going to be talking about Christmas movies until Christmas. We have one post-Christmas December episode, so we will
Yeah.
we will not be extending Christmas, but we have 4 solid episodes coming up for you. Not that the movies are solid, just the episodes will be solid. So next week we'll get into what I'm talking about there. All right, so Alex, because you want to adjust the format a little bit, why don't you kick us off a little bit here?
Yeah, so we're going to open with our first of our Christmas films. This is the Muppet Christmas Carol from 1992.
Yeah.
And it is a telling of the classic Charles Dickens film, but done with a narrator slash live action mashup of the classic puppeteer characters with voiceover lines, and then also Michael Caine doing a fantastic Ebenezer Scrooge. And I want to open with studio notes on this one, and just say, like, this movie is proof that sincerity is the special effect in the film. So
Yeah.
Michael Caine, as an actor, he saves Christmas by refusing to joke around,
Yeah.
and goes as far as to be given like wide open opportunity, but then just crushing the dreams of everybody in the scene with his answers to their questions or their requests for his assistance, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, sincerity is the special effect for me in this film. Kane is playing it pretty straight, and we have Gonzo, the classic Muppet, as Dickens with Rizzo the Rat, which is one of my favorite characters in this film. And the songs do the emotional work
Mhm.
and some of the lifting, and break up some of the more tense moments. This film never got bad press necessarily, but it got some controversy based on what was cut during its theatrical release. And for those of you that have the streaming versions or some of the Laserdisc VHS versions, can watch one of the only deleted scenes that was in this film that never made it to the theatrical release.
What's that? What is that scene?
So that is the Love Is Gone vocal song breakdown during the This Is Ghost of Christmas Past
Okay.
scene. And it's when Michael Caine is singing with his then love interest. And it was seen as too heavy because a lot of the test audiences, the kids started losing interest there because there wasn't a Muppet cut in.
Right.
On pace. It was like 2 minutes of just solid musical theater.
Yeah.
So that's really the only thing that ever got like cut from this entire film. But we'll get to that in editing. I don't want I don't want to go too deep right now. That was just studio notes. Is Kane's killing it? I love the way he is just so dry, and I enjoy the classic storytelling that Gonzo and Rizzo provided.
Yeah. All right, so so much has been said about Michael Caine's performance. So I kind of wanted to cover like slightly different ground on talking about his performance. So
go for it.
There's obviously it's very well known that he said he would do this if he was doing it as if he was acting in the Royal Shakespeare troupe or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does that and he kills it.
Yes.
It's funny too because I saw a meme the other day about the him performing, and it's like even when he's even in character when he's like Fozziwig's Rubber Chicken Factory, that
Yeah.
which is like a silly Muppet line, but he
Yep.
doesn't silly Muppet-ify it.
No,
Even
he just
that,
delivers the line like it's supposed to be the most
like
intense thing ever.
I feel like if you brought Charles Dickens back from the past and showed him the movie, he'd be like, well, that guy's got it at least. I don't know what these other things are, but
Yeah.
but that guy's doing
He
the right
he
job.
he knows what I intended, but the rest
Yeah.
of these fuckers.
But yeah, no, he's amazing. And I was curious. So obviously this is a ridiculous statement that I'm about to make, but I think that anybody who's watched it recently will agree. He's Oscar caliber in this, and so I looked up.
Okay.
I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying he necessarily should have, and he was robbed or anything. But I'm saying if his performance had been nominated for this, which is an outlandish thought for
Yeah.
1992, if it had been nominated, looking back right now, I don't think either of us would be like, "Oh, that's really fucking weird," or
No,
"Oh, that's
not at
a
all.
And just to give you an idea, now this was a solid year's lineup, but the 1993 Oscars, where he would have been, I'm assuming he had been in lead actor, was Al Pacino, Scent of a Woman. Now, I like that movie, but I think that this is a better performance than Al Pacino gives in that movie.
All
That's the
right.
winner for 1993.
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. as Chaplin. I also
Okay.
love that movie and that
Yeah.
performance, but I wouldn't be like hating on this being in there with that. Uh, Unforgiven, I've seen it. I don't remember, and I don't really think Clint Eastwood's ever bad, but I don't think he's ever Oscar caliber acting wise. So it's hard without remembering the
Yeah.
performance.
Clint Eastwood's acting is like blues music. It is easy to be good. It is
Yeah,
a monumental effort to be great.
right,
So, like you said, it's very formulaic. It's good. It's never shit, but it's
right.
never.
So like this being in there with that would be zero problem. Stephen Ray from The Crying Game. I don't know who Stephen Ray is, and I've
I don't
never
either.
seen The Crying Game, so I can't judge that. But then there's the last one, which I think that this is the one where I'd be like, this is next level. It's Malcolm X Denzel Washington,
Ooh.
which I already think he was robbed. They gave Al Pacino the consolation prize Oscar, which always drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But like if you replaced Al Pacino with Michael Caine, I don't think he should have beaten Denzel. The only person I would potentially give it to in this category over Denzel is Robert Downey Jr. for Chaplin, but I would have
For
to see it
Chaplin.
again. Because I mean, Denzel, I would say, even though I know he didn't win Oscars for either of these movies, his career highs for me are Malcolm X and Hurricane,
Hurricane.
and, and so like him not winning is a big deal, but like Michael Caine being in this category with these actors would not be wild, other than the fact that there's
No.
Muppets and he says Fozziwig's chicken rubber chicken
Rubber Chicken
factory.
Factory. So, do you think it's Oscar worthy because it's so highly contrasted by being a children's adaptation movie, or do you think that even outside of that scope, this is still that good?
I
Like,
think
it's all. Is it good because he's amongst this and still totally in character, or do you see it as like, oh no, it's just good because it stands on its own?
it stands on its own. I think if you change out that
I
like
agree
one
with that.
line and you put him into a classic performance of the play with human actors,
Yeah.
he gives an amazing performance. Like I
Oh,
think his
agreed.
performance holds up. I
Yeah,
don't, and
agreed.
sometimes performance can't, like if you gave him actors that were giving the same rough level as him and keeping, because a bad performance can ruin a good performance, right? We know that.
Yeah.
But like you putting him in with competent to more than competent performance of the straight version of the non Muppet version of the
Uh-huh.
this play or this movie, I think that Michael Caine is still at that level.
Yeah, and he did get criticism in the right word. He got some press for saying, "I'll only appear in this if I'm able to portray
Yeah,
Ebenezer Scrooge in this manner." And when you're that level of actor, and when you have especially in the mid '90s, when you have a brand that you must stick to,
yeah,
I don't. criticize him from saying, like, no, this is how I'm going. I will do it, but this is how I'm going to do it. And this was also Henson's son's directorial debut.
Yes.
He had never directed before. This was his first big one, and I mean, obviously carrying his father Jim's legacy, but it was at the same time that he gets to work with Michael Caine in
Mm-hmm.
his first ever movie he directs. That's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
That's who you get. That's who you get to have. It's huge.
So a couple things I want to like say about Michael Caine and that seriousness. So I think that he wanted to do it because he thought it would work best. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think it was
yeah.
an ego trip thing for him.
No.
Because I don't think he would have done this if it was an ego trip. You got to keep in mind he's only 5 years off his first Oscar win, and he's still
That's true.
doing pretty good at this point. I'm
Yeah.
pulling up his career. He was probably friends with Frank Oz at this point already because they had done. Frank Oz directed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which was what 19. I'm not finding it on it. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was 88, and Frank Oz directed that. Frank Oz does a bunch of the I think he's I forget what he's Fozzie and a bunch of other Muppets, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think he's Miss Piggy too. And so and obviously we all know him as Yoda, but he so he's got the in there. I would imagine that's somewhere where the connection happens. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, have you seen it?
Yeah, parts,
Okay, it
not like in its
is
entirely.
it is not Michael Caine taking himself seriously. It is Michael Caine giving like I am a charming debonair British man using that as a low level con art, like a low life con artist.
Okay,
It's
okay.
so like that is I think the performance
Now
where
I
you kind
want to
of go,
see it.
oh, it's amazing. You should definitely. And it also became a musical on Broadway afterwards. But it's him and Steve Martin, and
Martin.
they basically are two low level
So it's not quite
not
comedy,
low
but it
level low
sort of
life.
is.
Oh no, it's full comedy,
Oh, okay, okay.
and it's amazing.
When you said Steve Martin, I was like, it's not a
Yeah,
serious film now.
it's no, it's they play they're in like
Hmm.
they're in the French Riviera, and they're both con artists who are like marrying women to steal their fortunes, and they're
Oh
competing with each
wow.
other, and Michael Caine basically takes Steve Martin under his wing and is like, I'm going to show you how to do this right. And then he like teeny little spoiler alert. Michael Caine has this moment where one of the cons that they're running is that Steve Martin is his like mentally handicapped brother, and so he brings this new woman over, and Steve Martin is like, excuse me, may I be may I go use the restroom, or may I go to the bathroom, or whatever he says,
Yeah.
and he goes, yes, of course, Dudley. Like Michael Caine goes, yes, of course, Dudley, and he goes, thank you, and it's like
Okay.
amazing.
Okay. I've seen that scene. All right.
Yes, yes.
That scene
So,
okay.
but my point being, Michael Caine, I don't think is a guy who takes himself too seriously,
He
but he
doesn't.
does what the role requires, and I think he had there's lightheartedness in this. He's never, he's not working against the movie at any point. Even when he's singing a couple times, he's like,
Yeah,
enjoy. At the end, he's very joyful. He plays
that is
it.
true.
So he's playing Scrooge the way Scrooge needs to be played to perfection. And he makes the slight adjustments, where need be for, just this particular interpretation,
Yeah.
because every interpretation is different regardless of Muppets.
True, and specifically the Charles Dickens tale, Scrooge has to have that coming of realization. Like that
Sure.
has to take place, and I've seen it done on stage. I've watched and I've even listened to the original, like one that used to play on the shortwave radio when I was a kid. Like I've listened to that one too,
Yeah.
and the elation and the complete turnaround that Ebenezer Scrooge has is absolutely necessary to sell that.
Yeah.
moment in the film, and that's how Dickens wrote it. So Michael Caine is probably the most classic stuffy Brit that I would want playing this character.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of other like British actors in that era that I don't want doing it.
Right.
And he is ideal. I never saw it as an ego play, but some of the press he got felt like, especially by American press, felt
Yeah.
like that because most British men actors have this stuffy air to them. And
Yeah.
that was not how Kane intended that at all. No.
Right. And I also think that sometimes they play into it when they know it will
Oh
help
yeah.
sell the movie. And so
Oh
it's
yeah.
like Michael Caine, like it's Sean Penn required that everyone call him Spicoli the entire movie. Like they sell those things and we don't
Yeah.
know if that is a real legend or that's just a thing to sell the movie, And so I think that when you look at this, these probably like, yeah, go ahead, tell them that I said that because I'm like,
Right.
that's what I did,
It,
and you can make it
well, and
sound like
then
I'm arrogant, but when
yeah,
they see the movie, it'll speak for itself. I think that.
and it's the same kind of thing with Michael Caine and Miscongeniality. It's like the same kind of thing. A
Yeah,
lot of folks see that as like, oh, you're just the stuffy advisor, but he absolutely played into it the best way possible.
yeah,
So we both have good good feedback for the film,
yeah,
but we have two completely different scopes studio wise that we're looking at it. I like that.
yeah. I will say so. One thing I want to say, and I don't know what section to put this in, so I'll just give it here right now in the hot takes part of this episode. So I had probably seen this when I was a kid. I don't really remember much of it. I remember the Ghost of Christmas Present as is the only thing that looked familiar,
Mhm.
really. Um, so I was going into this fairly blind.
Yeah.
Logan was going into this 100% blind. He has
Oh, that's
never
cute.
seen any adaptation of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay.
So that was an interesting perspective
Wow.
because he was like, there's parts of the movie where he was trying to guess what's going to happen. And I'm like, I don't know how they're going to play it, but I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, do you think? And I'm like, no, that's not what. And I'm like, oh, no, no,
No.
he doesn't, this isn't old hat for him. He's seen a
Yeah.
million versions of this.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so I
my
had to
gosh, that is
remind
so
myself of
great.
that. So he'd be like, do you think that little kid is Scrooge? I'm like, it's definitely Scrooge. Like,
It's yeah. Oh my gosh, that's cute.
yeah.
I'm the complete opposite. I can sing all the songs.
Yeah, no,
Like like
this will be added to the roster, I think, of movies. Like this was excellent.
this is what viewers should watch this for. It's a Christmas staple that our generation grew up with because we're both in our 40s, and it is it is balancing Muppet comedy with real like actual grief and suffering
Hmm.
and those who go without kind of stuff,
Right.
and it does it in a way that never to me felt underhanded or obvious. Like you could
Hmm.
see the little rabbit, and it actually makes me feel like genuinely bad. The little rabbit that sings outside,
Yeah.
and then Scrooge throws the wreath that his nephew put on the door,
Yeah.
and it, it never felt underhanded, even though it's a puppet. Like
Right.
it is a puppet in raggedy clothes, shivering outside, homeless, and at no point did it feel like, oh well, that's a little weak or that's a little underhanded. It felt genuine without breaking tone.
Right.
So there was, and a lot of times when you think Muppet, like you expect it's going to be Sesame Streetified, like it's going to be
Yeah.
brought down. And your son is how old now?
Almost 10.
And he is an expressive individual. He does not hide how he feels about things, and he's comfortable expressing himself,
Hmm.
especially after he was on one of our episodes. Like I could really notice he was able to understand what he's experiencing on screen. What was his kind of interpretation on the tone? Did he always did you see emotional up and down, or was it always just interest in what was next?
He enjoyed it. He did ask at the beginning, like, what are we focusing on? he like paused it, and I was like, we didn't really discuss a focus for this one.
Hmm.
Although I think your focus, what you're talking about, is very close to what I kind of decided to go with for focus eventually. But
Yeah.
yeah, he just enjoyed the movie. But what to just like build off of what you're talking about with your focal point. I thought so. You look at a lot of the movies of the time. So this is '92. So we're
Hmm.
coming out of, or we're still in the middle of that, like what I consider the golden era of Disney movies, right?
Oh yeah.
Little Mermaid is 3 years earlier. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin.
Animated hit
Yeah,
after animated hit. They put it on
right,
celluloid. It packs a theater every time. Yep.
right. And I love those movies,
Lion King.
but Little Mermaid's probably the best example from that time period, but there's so
Yeah.
many examples of movies where it's based on something that is very famous, or at least very famous other now, where the overall plot was very much changed, like adjusted for kids,
Okay.
and it had to be. This
This
movie,
was not.
this movie was not at all.
Nope.
You could have, prior to seeing this, you could have made the argument like this is a bit heavy for kids, and you could make that argument, and I'd be like, yeah, I get it. Is Tiny
Not
Tim
only do
gonna
I get it, but
live? Is
yeah,
Tiny
that
Tim
was
gonna
some of the
live?
criticism.
And stuff, and it makes sense. But like, I don't feel like at any point in this movie is it not kid friendly. It is just
Yeah.
not, like you said, it's not doing, I think that sometimes it's an American versus a British or European uh sensibility of
Yeah.
like, we want to coddle a little bit more in America. So
Hmm.
like, they'll be like, this is a children's movie sometimes when like something comes over and you're like, yeah, because it deals with death, but it's like,
Yeah.
that's life. Like, my
A lot of classic European fairy tales, when they were under the pen of
yeah.
Disney, did get softened. It's
And
a
some of
pretty
those,
regular criticism of them.
and some of those I don't see the way.
Rightfully
Like the
so.
Little Mermaid is hardcore, the original version. I don't see a
Yeah.
children friendly version of that. So I'm not. That's why I say it's not really a criticism. I'm just saying it would have been very easy to be lazy and think of this that way
Soften this a lot. Yeah.
and soften it. And they don't soften. I don't think it's
No.
softened at all. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen like the most strictest interpretation of it, right? But like, but I think that other than a couple of gags, it's really not. There's no punches pulled. It's just that because I don't remember what it's not Fozziwig. It's like that. Like I made that joke a couple times now. The Fozziwig's rubber chicken, but like it was
Rubber
probably
chick.
just some
Yeah.
other factory. It wasn't like he was
Mhm.
making munitions or something like evil.
No, true.
They just changed that for a gag. They didn't change that to soften it, right? So
No.
like most of the changes here are just. And there's actually some funny stuff that memes that I saw in the last week or so, which were like, people think Gonzo's lines are funny, or like these, there are these odd little things. A lot of his lines, if not most of his lines, are verbatim Charles
Yes.
Dickens narration,
Yep.
including like, and Tiny Tim did live. Tiny Tim did live, like that. However he words it at the end, because I watched a clip where it was like, this is the act. It was showing the actual book, and then it was showing Gonzo talking about it, and it's like,
Yeah.
you probably think that that's dumbed down for kids, and it's like, no, that's exactly the wording.
It
Now,
is.
the back and forth with Rizzo is a little bit of comedic effect that's been added, but like a significant portion of the narration is Charles Dickens's words, which
Yeah.
is
Eh,
another testament to like how good the original material is, and B, how good they are at saying like, hey, we don't need to dumb this down. This is 150-year-old language. We don't need to dumb it down for these kids in that way, and we don't need to dumb it down in like, these kids can't handle this kind of content.
Yeah. I mean, there's heartbreak, there's
Mm-hmm.
death, there's poverty,
Yeah.
there's jealousy, like all major real life emotions that can be felt specifically during the holiday
Yeah.
time, but also just in general, are all there. And that's how Dickens intended this to be.
Yeah.
And the Henson group did not, when I watched interviews that Henson did, he said, nah, I just wanted to keep it the way it was because it's just a good story.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make it goofy with my felt puppets.
Yeah.
And it totally worked.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy how when I'm like 8 years old watching this, I was I was chuckling at Gonzo and Rizzo, but then I was also like genuinely feeling, like I said, the homeless little rabbit that goes caroling.
Yeah.
Like I that hurts. That's painful to me in my 40s, seeing that, knowing that there really are people in my community that experience this. But then at the same time, Rizzo getting his tail lit on fire while Dickens is lighting the lamps. Like the lamp, not the rat. Like the lamp, not the rat. Like it's goofy enough that I'm still chuckling at it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It is that
So
spoonful of sugar to make like like
yeah,
not that this is not a great work, but like getting the original language, getting the original version of A Christmas Carol through to an 8-year-old in 1992 or in 2025 is just, it's a little tougher, because even though like that may have been like it's a great story for kids, getting it across in pretty much its truest form is dry, right? It's dry. And so
yeah,
adding the
without
Muppets,
making it too saccharine.
right,
I
exactly.
agree. I agree. Without making it too saccharine, Henson and the whole group that worked on this film together. So that would have been, let me see, that would have been obviously Jerry Jewell was one of the writers, and Brian Henson did the direction. Outside of Michael Caine, you had Steve Whitmire and David Goles. So you didn't have, outside of Caine, like a lot of like giant hit actors here.
Right.
Whereas the big actors are obviously the Muppet voice actors.
Yeah.
So for me, I really think that this is one of those fantastic times where Disney did not put too much of a dressing on something and make me want to go see, well, what's the real story of Snow White,
Right.
or what's the real story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and not just experience Dickens for it because I had a dad and a mom that were in theater. So I had seen this
Hmm.
on stage before I had ever watched it on the TV screen. So
Yeah.
I knew how like dark and kind of brooding it was already. And even at 8 and 10 years old, it didn't feel underhanded, like I was too stupid to understand it or it was too heavy of emotion. I kind of saw three major character types. So you had the anchor, which is Kane,
Yeah.
and his just kick the lines performance. Don't gussy them, don't embellish them, just deliver them with body language, with volume.
Yeah.
So when you're a young kid and he's yelling at his bookkeepers, how would you like to spend Christmas on the unemployment line? And he just belts that line out.
Yeah.
It's genuinely startling.
Yeah.
It is. And you had him as like this no gags, tragedy, sad. You have a translator, which is Gonzo playing Charles Dickens. And that was interesting that he was like a meta character because he was narrating his own story
Yeah.
as a Muppet,
Yeah.
but everyone knows, and there's actually this going joke between him and Rizzo that he's really not Charles Dickens,
Yeah.
but he is in the purpose of the film. And the Gonzo and Rizzo narration keeps the Dickens part intact the whole time that the absolute anchor of this is Michael Caine, and then the conductor are like the songs always moving in and giving a little bit of a tone shift, a little bit of a levity, little warmth when otherwise it would be bad. Like Marley and Marley doing their classic song,
Yeah.
right? And by the way, I love that they made them the two from the theater. That is my one of my
Statler and
favorite.
Waldorf.
Yeah, I love that Henson made Statler and Waldorf Marley and Marley.
They had to be. Like I
Oh,
literally,
I know.
there was almost no point at which, and that's like the beauty of the Muppets adapting anything, is that
Is
there
they
is,
are their own characters already,
well, but also
and
like
then
there is an inevitability to who they
Yeah.
cast as what, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as you see Statler and Waldorf, you're like, oh, it had to be. As soon as you see
Yep.
Kermit as Bob Cratchit, it's like, who
Yep.
else could possibly do it?
Miss
And
Piggy is his wife.
right, well, it had to be
Oh,
Miss
oh, oh,
Piggy.
the eagle is the teacher.
Yes, yep.
Like no, you're right. And you and I already know of Muppets as like they are their own characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't speak of them with their voice actors. I mean, we know who they are because we're film
Yeah,
nerds, but we don't speak them as their voice actors. We speak them like they are people
right.
because they have very specific ways that they conduct themselves on screen. And the
And yet they
puppeteers,
fit. They
they do.
always almost always do it. I mean, I've only seen so many of these, but like the Muppets are so versatile in they're never not their character. So Kermit's never not Kermit, but he
Yeah.
can be Bob Cratchit. He can be whoever else. Statler and
Okay.
Waldorf. I know that they had to change Jacob Marley a bit, obviously, make him two people, one of which is Robert Marley, Bob Marley. That's why they named him that, right? And then but also, those two guys are constantly like ribbing and like heckling,
Yep.
and so they had to like make that a little more uh lighthearted in that, like, like your chain's as long as ours,
Yep.
instead of being like, like very grim. But
Yeah.
otherwise they fit perfectly. They are still
They do.
Statler and Waldorf 100%, and
Yeah.
they are this other thing. And that's where the Muppets, I think, really. I mean, I try to think of other things that have done this, and I can't remember a single episode of Wishbone, but like where they take established characters and re-represent, like anthology style.
Yeah.
And I just can't think of anything where it's done as perfectly as the Muppets are able to do it, because they have a huge roster of characters.
Yeah.
Um, and so like you're seeing like people pop in and out, and it makes, it works, and there's so much there. But also just like, especially when you're doing stuff that is so archetypal, you have these, the
Yeah.
everyman. Bob Cratchit is the everyman. Kermit is the
Who
everyman.
else would be Kermit? Yeah, who else
Yeah,
could that be but Kermit? No, good call.
yeah,
And that's why I saw the songs as this conductor part, because usually when this is performed on stage, you have the chorus doing these breaks in the action songs. And that just reads like musical theater because that's what it is. Whereas here, they're genuine musical breaks in that classic Disney style, but then being performed by, well, that one cut scene with the love is gone,
yeah,
but where Michael Caine even sings with them,
yeah,
but otherwise it's the Muppets singing these.
yeah.
And the Henson Productions already has such an excellent understanding of musical theater
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of their early performances were stage, not screen.
Right.
So they had this huge amount of talent that had been doing musical theater for a long time. So in the 90s, being able to just have the exact cast do these songs, controlling tone shifts in the film, were fantastic. And also for me, and my mom is a puppeteer in addition to making theatrical costumes.
And our other
So
co-host of our other podcast is a puppeteer.
he is correct.
Yes.
So understanding Ghost of Christmas Current, I don't think is the right name. What is that?
Present.
Ghost of Christmas Present. The giant happy man
Mm-hmm.
is almost to the letter Dickens. He was
Come
supposed to be
in
this
and know me better,
know
man.
me better man. Yeah. He was supposed to be this rotund Santa Claus kind of looking big bearded guy. And in
Yeah.
the original animated and the live action of this, he looks like he looks like if a cornucopia was a person.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of his appearance. And
I
the
want.
animating of the eyebrows and the hairline, there's so much work
Yeah.
put into making that this happy-go-lucky Ghost of Christmas Past being this ethereal. Actually, the first couple were done in mineral oil to make her look like she's moving around.
Yeah.
Very like
I,
very almost spirit like, and then eventually they did it in water because they ran out of budget for that. But
yeah. All right. So as far as the three ghosts. I sent this to you earlier today, but and I think that this is, one of the things that they got right, that they got absolutely right, was they said, the Muppets fit all these characters, but and they originally had thought about doing Muppets as the three ghosts, and that
Yeah,
seems logical, but
it wouldn't have worked.
I think it would not have been the classic that it is
No.
had you done it. It may have worked fine at the time, but it wouldn't have stood the test of time. And what they did was they made three new, one of them's a Muppet. The other two aren't really Muppets, right? Like I hesitate to call either of them Muppets. But Ghost of Christmas Present is a Muppet. It's a man in a suit. The
Yeah,
face
yeah.
is a Muppet and the guy talking was like off screen with like the controllers to control, which is a huge feat of
In the
engineering
90s,
and coordination. But like by doing that, which also I didn't know, I assumed that was like from Fraggle Rock or something. I didn't realize he wasn't I didn't realize he was an original Muppet for this.
Yeah, 100% one off. Yeah.
And as you said, like the ethereal, like they filmed this like cloth in water kind of vibe to get the like spirit of the Ghost of Christmas Past. I don't think the one criticism I have of this movie
That was
is
not as believable.
I think that
face,
works. The face is
it's so bad.
The face is
the
like
face looks
taunting.
like a bad Disney ride. Yeah, it looks like a bad Disney ride animatronic that's broken.
Yeah,
it doesn't move
nice.
well.
That's actually being nice compared to what I was thinking.
Okay, I want to hear it. What do you?
It looks like skin that was like peeled off. So I'll tell you this one little fun story, and then it'll lead into this. So we took Logan. This is probably when he was 3 or 4 years old. We took him to Mezza. Have you heard of Mezza before? It's like a Mediterranean place.
Oh, the restaurant. Yeah, in Mooresville.
Yeah. Yep. So we took him to one of those, and we got pitas. Like we got like a bowl, and we got a pita, and he bit into the pita and
put it on his face.
Eyes, and then put it on his face. But also, in order to keep it on his face, had to like lean back. And so he was just like, and the picture came up yesterday, and I thought, at the time we were like, oh, that's so disturbing.
Oh my God.
And then when I saw the picture yesterday, I was like, oh, it's the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Now that you're saying that, I can see Logan with that thing on his face, and it's so pasty and flat. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
It was so creepy.
Shit.
And so we so that's what I think that although I think that's my only criticism of that character's portrayal, and that it's a limitation of the time, right? Like if I don't think they
and there was never enough close up with the Ghost of Christmas Past because of the way it had to be filmed separately. It was, you never got close enough, and also there was
the
never
glowy
writing.
Softness.
Yeah,
also helps hide that a bit.
Oh, it helped a lot because that, like you said, the poorly done facial animation didn't look as bad because there was never a close up and it was never super sharp because the whole movie's soft because that's the era. But then Ghost of Christmas Present, he's walking with him and he's holding on to him, and Ghost of Christmas Future, obviously the like the big evil crypt keeper kind of thing.
Yeah,
he even like has physical contact with Michael Caine's character, so Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh my God, that's hilarious with the tortilla, with the pita, just like all right, so editing. So what? So is that really your one like could have been better kind of thing as far as editing?
That's like literally the only thing that I can think of that I was like, and again, that's a limitation of the time. It's a new director. We're in this weird time, like, and so many other things about that work well. Like if you could have made her face better, but then you probably would have had to sacrifice the flowiness of the. So I'm not like.
If it was a traditional puppet,
right.
like how would you have done those two separately? This is the 90s. It had to be filmed in a second unit and then imposed in. So for me, it nailed tone control without feeling underhanded. An adult like my mother could show this to me and watch it, and then me as a child completely understand what I'm trying to be told. Even if I never saw Dickens first, I still would have been like, he has this complete turnaround where he goes and buys the most expensive goose with the homeless rabbit, throws him money and says, go buy the most expensive goose. It's still in the window. That is absolutely the way Dickens wrote it. He wanted to go over and have fellowship and a meal with that family, because that brought more of those two sides together.
Yeah.
And even comedy, when it exits and it's time for like the punchy hurt moment, it still is done respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully to the source material, but also respectfully to the audience. It wasn't Disneyfied, like 90s
Right.
Disneyfied, where it's just like, we're going to do this as soft as possible. Just, oh, we're so sorry we hurt you. Oh, no. Mufasa won't be that bad, kind of thing.
So the
And then,
one thing I want, getting into that for a second, one thing I want to ask you, because this is one aspect that I do not remember from other versions of A Christmas Carol. When he shows up at Bob Cratchit's house in other versions, does he make a joke about, what are you doing not at work? Or, like, does he do that? Or is it always, that's what it is?
no, that was very much editorializing for this film.
I think it works
the joke
perfectly.
Of why aren't you at work was not, as far as I know, in any original. No,
I was like, I don't remember that, but I also could see it being some version of it. But it also helps Miss Piggy plays to that so perfectly, and the like, I'm gonna like get you, and then him being like, you deserve a raise. Yes, he does deserve a raise.
Yes, he does deserve a raise.
Yeah. Like, I can't do a Miss Piggy voice, obviously, even though it's like kind of Yoda-y.
It is.
It's like Girl
Bettina
Yoda.
it's Girl Yoda. Bettina and Belinda, I also like Bob's daughters.
Yeah.
They are fantastic, and Miss Piggy never being able to tell them apart is a great little side.
Yeah.
The only pieces for editing that didn't hit for me was obviously The Love Is Gone. So that's the song during Christmas Past where he's talking to his then love interest, and it is an entire 2 minutes. It's only 2 minutes long, so it's not even like it's a major scene.
Right.
But during pre-shows, when they were doing early audience tests of this, the children in the audience, there wasn't a Muppet tie-in as soon until the very end of this 2 minute thing. Rizzo and Gonzo are there, like, oh, like talking, like kind of talking about it to anchor it again, and it was just cut.
Yeah.
So it was theatrical release, not even in there. Laserdisc and VHS had it in runtime, not as like a bonus feature. And now if you go on Disney's streaming services, you have to like go down to extras and then pick the version of the film, but you can even just watch the Love Is Gone song moment, and then you've seen everything that was cut. Like, it's really that. It's not that it was edited out. It was, I think it was Henson understanding that this had to hit. And he is such a focus on children's theater and children's entertainment anyway. He really wanted to keep a young audience in mind.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was cut because it felt too heavy. That's one of like the debates on this is, it was cut because it was too much intense. I'm like, we're talking about a kid dying. This is not more intense than a kid dying. No. This is just, the focus seemed to like shift, and the kids started looking around the theater. So that's why it was, I think that's why it was cut. And it was one of those necessary things. I mean, if you guys ever saw how much is cut out of these episodes before you watch them,
Yeah. Yeah, one of us gets on a rant about something wildly. Yeah, that mostly you got to cut for time, right?
Oh,
both. I've cut rants from both of us. I don't know if you're accusing me or like I've cut rants from you and from
me. I was pointing out that me going on about the only thing that's cut from this film for any more than 2 minutes is completely unnecessary, and me kind of getting my 2 cents in. So editing, it fits. It's of the time. Production methods were, for puppeteers and live action and voiceover work, right on. It follows the Henson formula and does well to Jim.
Yeah.
And it does well to the Henson brand without feeling like Muppets do Dickens. Muppets do Pirates. Muppets do this, which is really what's happening. But like you just mentioned, you could swap out all the puppets with real actors, and Kane would have still hit just as hard.
Okay, so we talk about legacy and place in history. I want to tell a quick story, a very very quick story. So there was a girl that I was friends with for a long long time from high school. My mom thought we were going to end up together. At one time, we were having a conversation, and she said this was her favorite Christmas movie of all time. And my
Oh,
mom was kind of like, "Oh, now I realize you're not the one for Michael." That was like the moment she realized, because my
oh
mom was like, "How
wow.
could you not say?" My mom, because we'd never watched, this wasn't one we grew up on. I grew up on, right? So she probably hadn't seen it, or she'd seen it once, 15 years earlier or whatever. At that point, it would have come out.
Yeah.
So my mom had this like moment of like, there's all
I
these
love that your mom
classics.
was
How could
like,
you?
no.
My, my mom was like, "Not It's a Wonderful Life." Like, if it's not It's a Wonderful Life, you're not the one.
Oh god, so great.
After rewatching this, I gotta say, like, I still think It's a Wonderful Life is better than this, but it is not more watchable than this. Like, this movie
No, It's
is,
a Wonderful Life is heavy,
yeah, it's
like
heavy,
genuinely heavy.
and this movie I think is a perfect balance of getting the spirit of everything right, getting like it is wholesome and warm and it has all the things you want for a Christmas movie. It is fun, it is engaging for children, it is not doing like what we've said before. So like I kind of think that like this is a contender for overall best Christmas movie ever. Now they
Yeah.
obviously, like, I would say like this is, I'm trying to think of, to me, It's a Wonderful Life and this, and then I'm trying to think of
Are we saying
what I,
all Christmas film canons? So this is going to include like the Santa Claus and all those other ones
yeah,
too? Or are you saying okay? Um,
like because I think this is it. This hits the classic
it is top
window.
three, no doubt.
Yeah, it hits the classic vibe. It hits that like contemporary. Like, I love the Santa Claus, but the Santa Claus is kind of a like you had to be there kind of like,
The
to a
Santa
certain
Claus
extent.
has that family friendly,
Well,
like
it's very contemporary of its time, right? And this
yeah,
hits that, but it also hits the like, I showed Logan, and we're 30, this movie's 32 years old or 33 years old, it still holds up.
yeah,
And I think that it will hold up in another 10 to 20, 30 years.
I agree with
Like,
that.
so it hits all of that. It's not like a, oh, this is boring, I'm losing. Like, I think that, where a lot of the old Christmas classics, and then you get into like the claymation, and the like, was it Bass and
Rankin Bass.
Rankin Bass? Yes, Rankin Bass. Like those ones, I think I have fond memories of, but like I go back and watch them, I'm like, these are kind of cheesy,
It
and
it's
they have
cute
like,
cheesy.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
cute cheesy. It's not. I don't watch it thinking it's going to be serious. I
right,
can watch this, and if I had children, I would show them this instead of the real Dickens because the
hmm,
real Dickens is going to scare them a little.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it.
This kind of is one of those like four quadrant movies for me. Like, whereas it's like artistically good, it is
Yeah.
entertainingly good. It is, it hits all of the categories.
Mm-hmm.
It is, if you showed this to parents 50 years ago and said like, oh, look at this movie, this is by the people that make Sesame Street, and you show
Yeah.
them to them now, like it holds up in all the ways. So that's kind of where I think that the legacy of this movie really stands, is that.
Quick comparison. How do you rank this against the A Christmas Carol that's Johnny Depp?
You mean the animated one? That's Jim Carrey?
No,
There's a
this
Johnny Depp
is,
Christmas Carol?
yep. This is a trailer that just dropped like a couple of days ago, and it's Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, and Ralph Fiennes. So how do you think this is going to hold up against that? I mean, I know we don't have the film yet, but when you think of those people playing those characters, what do you think?
Is Ray Fiennes Bob Cratchit?
I think
Or
that's
are
who it's
those
going to
the
be.
ghosts? I'm trying to,
I
like that. I mean, I don't know. Ray Fiennes as Bob Cratchit seems weird to me, right? Like Voldemort and Bob, uh, I'm looking it up.
So it's going to be
I'll also like,
November of next year.
yeah.
November of next year is the anticipated release, and Johnny Depp Scrooge, obviously. I don't know which
Ooh,
characters are
did
what.
do you know? Okay, I'm not seeing. I'm seeing Tremel Tillman, who's from Severance. Do you ever watch Severance?
Yes,
He's
fantastic.
he's gonna be the ghost of Christmas Present, and that is really intriguing to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
especially after
it
watching
really is.
those dance scenes in Severance.
Those are those dance scenes in Severance are the biggest crazy being John Malkovich drug trip fucking moments I've ever seen on screen,
Yeah,
because they are taking this seriously. Like, he
yeah,
is dancing around like I mean this. This is not a joke, and it's almost dystopian. But
yeah.
yeah, so do you think that this holds up as top three Christmas movie? But do you see this as the defining Dickens adaptation? Or do you think something like this with all live actors is going to hit better, or be as timeless?
No, I think that. I mean, I will happily eat my words on this. I think Johnny Depp to me is very hit or miss. In
We've talked
stuff.
about him.
Yes, but also like, and it's the new one's called Ebenezer: A Christmas Carol, and that's
Yeah,
like
I
kind
know.
of a that and the
It's
fact that
enough telling that it's not intending to hit too hard.
right. Well, also the director who the director is interesting because he's done almost exclusively horror movies. TV shows he's
Mm,
done weird, like I like Poker Face. He's done episodes of Poker Face.
okay.
He's done the Exorcist TV show, Wayward Pines. Like, these aren't movies that naturally translate. This isn't like when the guy who did Anna Karenina a few years ago had done it after doing Atonement, right? These aren't like,
Okay.
these are two classic period pieces. Like, this is a very different tone. So is this going to be a take on it the way like we've seen Cruella be
Oh yeah.
like that, or Pan, there was the Peter Pan things that were about Captain Hook, or like
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the movie Hook, for example,
and
where
I
it's
love
more
Hook.
about,
I
yeah,
love Hook, but
yeah,
it's not Peter Pan, right? Like, it's not
no.
like a, I don't consider that the story of Peter Pan at all. And so, like, could this be something like that? I'm open to that, and I hope that is what it is. Especially, like I said, with Tremel Tillman in there, like, that sounds really interesting. I don't see
Yeah.
this as being like a traditional adaptation. And when you're talking about traditional, I know that I'm really using that quotes on that because of the Muppety part, but like, look at the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol from
Yeah.
10 to 15 years ago. I hated that. And I love Jim
No,
Carrey.
I agree. I didn't like it. My yardstick for all of these, and this is the one I grew up watching, was Scrooge, which is the 1970 film where Albert Finney is
Okay.
Ebenezer Scrooge, and that is my like yardstick of, is it any good,
Yeah.
Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
And that is also British cast, British director. Like, it is very specific to
Hmm.
what it's supposed to be. And I'm fine with that. Dickens was an English writer.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah. Yeah.
same time, this I think the reason we're watching this and talking about it isn't because it's like Fraggle Rock and the Goonies, and it's just
Yeah.
something that millennials are fans of because we are, and don't and can't articulate why. No, this stands.
Yeah. So
This stands.
to me, this, I think you're right. This is a, they understood that this is arguably, most people would say, like the second best writer of the English language after Shakespeare, right? Charles
Yeah.
Dickens. They understood that, and they were like, well, we're not going to get away from that. Like, and there is, like, I love adaptations that are like up to, like, 10 Things I Hate About You is The Taming of the Shrew, and and Emma is, or not Emma, Clueless is Emma,
Clueless. Yep.
and and so I love those kinds of things. I love West Side Story and all, when they're like, I'm just going to take the framework of this, that's fine, and that works. Scrooged with Bill Murray is this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but people love it. But it's this movie told with a TV exec or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that, but I wouldn't say Scrooged is definitive. I wouldn't say Clueless is the definitive version of Emma.
No.
But that doesn't mean that I won't like that version better necessarily. Like
True.
I probably
True.
would like Clueless better than the definitive version of Emma, right? Like the classic, best version of it. But so to me, no, this is probably going to hold up because they did other than the fact that it's Muppets, it is a Christmas Carol.
Other than
it's not
Muppets,
not
right?
caroled or Scrooged or it's not that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, those films are okay for me, but at the same time, when I want to watch an adaptation, I'm okay that there's some editorializing, but I don't want so much that, like you just mentioned, it loses the essence of its being, you
right,
know?
right.
And that is where I don't mind that things like Scrooged exist, but
Yeah,
also in ways that I'm not trying to, how should I say this? I'm not trying to like a Willy Wonka movie where Johnny Depp is just Willy Wonka and the whole movie's about that. Like, I don't,
yeah.
no.
All right.
Get that shit off my screen. Just yes. It holds up. It's it's something that I can show my nieces and my nephew. It's something that I can watch as an adult and still feel like genuine feel emotion,
Mm-hmm.
even though I know exactly what's about to happen. I have puppets making me feel something.
Yeah,
That's not a normal statement that a lot of puppeteers dream of being able to do that
yeah.
with their marionettes, but it's never understood on screen the same way, where
Right.
usually puppets are seen as this comedic relief thing. It's not.
Yeah,
These are serious actors, and any comedian or like SNL cast member that's spoken about the Muppets, like they are their own people. Everybody knows who their voice actor and their puppeteer is, but they speak of them as a person.
yeah.
So I it gets a seal of approval. It's recommended by me because of the sincerity, as we mentioned at the top of the show, that is never underhanded for an adult, but is never so heavy-handed and so dry and British that it can't
Right.
be understood by your 8-year-old son.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I have the same thing. So now let's get into ratings because I don't have anything to add there. What do you want to go first with the ratings?
Yeah, I'll go first. So this is my first in Cinnamon history, a double 9. So
Oh,
for fun and watchability, 9, and for quality, 9. I've given a 9 to The Exorcist, and that was because I knew what the limitations were of the time.
yeah,
This is the same kind of thing, but we're speaking from the 90s because I am the technical brain when I watch a movie.
yeah.
And I like hearing about how they filmed Ghost of Christmas Past in mineral oil because they knew it would make it move kind of slinky and ghost like, and then ran out of budget for that and then did it in water
Yeah.
and then meshed the two together and did a horrible job animating the face. And how Scrooge interacts with the different characters that are puppets, and knowing what that stage has to look like for him to be able to walk amongst them like that
Mm-hmm.
and not bump into the actors or bump into the puppeteers. And then for fun and watchability, yes, the very opening music act, I'm down here at 1:30 in the morning singing it because I know it. But you know what? That's what's made it an indelible film for me. So absolutely 9 on fun and watchability, which gives me an even 18 for this out of 20.
Nice. I just corrected because I accidentally flip flopped my numbers, but
Okay.
so watchability, I give it a 9. It was really fun. Um, the only reason I give it an 8 on quality is that the mask or the face of Ghost of Christmas
Yeah.
Past is a little creepy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like I think that it's really impressive what they were able to
It is.
do, acting, the performances, and knowing what to touch and what not to touch with the writing, right? Because like I
Yeah.
said before, like they don't anything that they touch really didn't feel like they there's a little bit of the Rizzo and Gonzo back and forth, right? That's but everything else pretty much, with very few exceptions, is if they decided to touch it was because it doesn't matter. So like Fozziwig's, like
Rubber Chicken Factory.
Rubber Chicken Factory, like that's
It
not
wasn't that big
changing
a deal if
anything.
that's what they named it,
Yeah, right,
but it
right,
made it Muppety.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so like making Tiny Tim is essentially exactly the same, other than he looks like a frog, like he looks like a felt tadpole or whatever. Um, so like I think that I mean, it really is really impressive. You get the fact that it's a directorial debut is impressive. Um, you had to not only build the sets because you're having the Muppeteers with their and
Under.
then you have real
Yeah.
humans interacting, Michael Caine and some others.
In the
But then
scene
you
like
also
that. Like,
but then
yeah.
you also have the fact that they kind of had to build like a Victorian England
Hmm.
downtown and rooftops, and like, because that stuff, that is like almost maybe the stuff in Christmas Ghost of Christmas Past is somewhat on location, but everything else is a set
Set. Yep.
and soundstage, and it doesn't necessarily look like it. There's parts where it's like it
Yeah.
gives that
It doesn't. Go ahead.
I say it gives that like vibe for those of us who know, but I think it's super impressive what they did with this movie.
And that is something that some Jim Henson films, and that's one of the reasons I kept my quality higher on this
Yeah,
at the 9, is because, like you were mentioning, it never looked like Sesame Street.
yeah,
Even the scenes that had mostly puppets in them didn't look animated or childish or bright or garish or pops of color everywhere. It all stayed in tone,
yeah,
and it was just enough for me to think, okay, that really is ice skating penguins.
yeah,
And then at no point did I say, oh, well, that scene where it's all puppets, like in the Fozziwig's factory, like it didn't look like a Ben and Jerry's drawing where it looks
yeah,
like a Rube Goldberg machine and nothing looks real. No, it all looked genuine, just
yeah.
puppets in it. Not the other way around, that humans were in a Muppet world, which is sort of what Sesame Street feels like sometimes.
The thing that I will say would bump it up for me to a 9 or a 10 is similar to what I said with Chocolat, except that like I get this movie did a lot with sets and things, but
Yeah.
when and it's really easy to say like, oh, it didn't, like it's a Muppet movie, that's why they didn't. But like when you look at Guillermo del Toro, he's done some movies with some like creature features, and then you have amazing cinematography and artful
Yes.
cinematography. And and so like I think if you got like someone who made the cinematography just that oomph better, and like
Okay.
those like it's more than serviceable. I don't want like like I kind of feel like I shit on Chocolat a little bit. That's why Chocolat's a 7 and this is an 8. Like this, I think that nobody on earth expected more from this cinematography wise. But you
What you
have
said.
but you have Michael Caine giving what I consider Oscar worthy performance. So if you then put Oscar worthy cinematography on top of everything else, and maybe even, I mean, sound design was great, but like if the sound design was, if you got like Ben Burt, who was, this is the same crew that did, some of these people did work on Star Wars. You get Ben Burt
Yeah.
from Star Wars, and you get that sound design on top of it. You get a really great cinematographer who's like, okay, this is how we're going to work around the Muppet thing. We're still going to get like all those things. Like, I think you could make this movie just that oomph better, and that's why I'm
I
giving it an 8, not a 9.
You know what? I'm going to agree with that, because when you said Guillermo del Toro, like one of my favorite directors, that immediately hit when he's done animals and creature stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm thinking the Henson method is a very shallow
Mm-hmm.
method where there's not a lot of depth in a scene, because again, these are stage guys going to
Yeah.
screen.
Well, and it's
So
stage guys going to TV to screen, and
going to TV to screen.
TV
Oh, you're
up
right. Sorry,
until
even more so. Yeah.
prior to like 15 years ago, TV was not cinematic. And
No.
so like you've got, these are mostly TV workers,
Mhm.
stage performers and TV performers and workers, um moving into the medium of film. And when you take all that into account, it's very impressive. The thing that would make it, that would just push over the top, is if you had like, you know, cinematography that was like some lighting and cinematography of like
I was yeah. I was about to mention some lighting, because there is very much a Henson way of filming. Look at Labyrinth.
yeah,
Labyrinth is filmed like a Henson production, and it's lit like a Henson production, where it's pretty shallow. Like the back of the scene is really not that far away visually from the stuff in the foreground.
right,
And that method, like you mentioned, is very much a television scope of mind or a stage scope of mind. And I believe that if it went away from that, it would no longer be Henson. And
mm-hmm.
I'm fine with everything being a little more compressed feeling and
Yeah, yeah,
right here, because I want to watch a Guillermo del Toro film because that's what's in my head. So I agree
yeah,
with your rating, but I also agree with the reason that you didn't put it up higher,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it could have those little extra pieces of polish that maybe a first time director would have done
Right,
differently. Right. So yeah.
right.
No, I
And
agree
so
with
I'm
that.
looking,
So
and I'm looking up, just so you know, I looked up the cinematographer, whose name is John Fenner,
mhm.
and his big things that he's known for are this Muppet Treasure Island, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before this, the 1990 live action version.
Okay.
And so like you're not talking about somebody who, actually, he doesn't have that big of a body of work. You're not talking about somebody who's done a ton, and sometimes you get,
Yeah.
like The Borrowers is probably his most impressive cinematography, uh and even that looks kind of, it's not like that impressive. But
Yeah.
like that's fine. It's not like it's not a hit. It's as much as it is like it is what it is. But I think you could
It's
elevate
fact
it.
more than criticism.
Yeah,
It's fact. Yeah. It's fact more than criticism. And that's why I think, even though my mother, who was why I watched this to begin with, because
yeah,
my dad was like, you're going to watch the Albert Finney, you're going to listen to the one in front of the shortwave radio
yeah,
on the floor on Christmas Eve. Like that was my father. My father was raised by a British stepmother.
yeah.
And for me, my mother and her huge creative, like for those of you that are probably never going to meet my mother, I have Ms. Frizzle for a mother. I have the dirty, I have the dirty hippie, everything is creative, everything can be embellished, everything can be fanciful. That is my mother.
Yeah.
And for her to want me to watch this, she didn't understand all of this at the time, but she could appreciate how it was framing a classic work, because she came from stage. She was a stage actor like my father. So the two of them together showed me something in the mid 90s that changed my life in my 20s, 30s, and now 40s.
Yeah.
So it is indelible for me, but the limitations of the 90s, I understood it. And I don't hold too much criticism, but I can see why you rate it the way you do. And I
Hmm.
respect and can immediately understand why you as a filmmaker stuck it there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So next week, although we're going to be wearing these exact same outfits,
I brought a costume change.
did you? I'm not changing
Oh yeah,
costume. We're in the middle of
I
winter
brought a
shit. So
costume change because I didn't want to be wearing the same thing in both.
next week we will be talking about A Christmas Story. What a lot of people consider to be a Christmas classic from 1983. And we will have thoughts on that one. You don't want to miss
Yes.
that.
No.
If you loved the movie, get ready to be angry, and if you hated the movie,
Misery
uh,
loves
get
company.
get ready to be vindicated. So, all right, we will see you next week with
A
was it A
Christmas
Christmas Story?
Story.
Is it The
We'll see you
Christmas Story? A
next.
Christmas Story.
Christmas Story from
A Christmas Story.
1983, a movie as old as I am. It is a movie that was in the 80s, filmed about the 50s, and set in the 50s, that is canon for some and wish it would be shot out of a cannon for the rest of us.